Alrighty then. Here we are with my very first tournament report. I am very excited. Copying wholesale and unashamedly from the legendary Andy Ransom. I'm doing a report on the Coming Storm, which was a tournament I attended in Stockport just this last weekend. My first tournament, very exciting. Lots of big name kind of players there. Some of whom will feature in this tournament report. 4 rounds in one day, 2,000 points, and I'll start off with my list. So game one was I was placed against Jordan Cleavely. Jordan is from my local area. I've met him, but I've never played him. And in a way, it was kind of a good matchup. Jordan hasn't played for, I think he said like a year, something like that, half a year. But he's not, a bad player by any means. He's just not played recently. So a good match for kind of my inexperience for a first game. So this is the list that I took. This is my tournament list. Those of you who have been watching my battle reports, you poor things, you'll know I've been kind of working through iterations of elf lists. So this is the list that I've arrived upon. This hasn't featured in any of my previous battle reports because I've been playing a bit of catch up. But this is the one that settled on. It kind of works for me. The way I achieved this report was I took everything that I've kind of decided is rubbish and put it into a single list, because I'm not a very good player, and therefore if I think it's bad, it probably might be quite good. So this is what I did with this list. So started with the formation of the Honour Guard of the Green Lady. So it's a horde of tall spears and 2 regiments of Palace Guard and the Green Lady, and what the formation does is give them all 5+ regen. I gave one of the regiments of Palace Guard Dwarven Ale, and I gave the Tall Spears Brew of Sharpness. So what this gives me is a lovely, solid core to my army. The principle is, elves are very fragile. If you lose something, you're in trouble. I've got Elite Heal 8, I've got Regen 5+, and I've got some quite punchy units. Palace Guard are 15, 17. One of them's got Headstrong now, and Tall Spears are 21, 23. Their main problem is they all hit on 4s. Palace Guard hits on 3s, a defense 4, but Tall Spears hitting on 3s with Sharpness really makes them quite scary. And then I was running 2 dragons, but I downgraded one of them to some Dracon Riders with Brew of Strength. And that's on some advice from a friend who was talking about, look, dragons are great in the rear, or in the flank, but actually Dracons have the potential to knock someone out from the front, especially with Brew of Strength. So that's why I went with Dracons. 2 hordes of chariots, because chariots are very fashionable. Still not sold on them. Big footprint, a bit of shooting. They do a job, I suppose. They're okay. An army standard bearer with a loot to give me some punch, because I haven't got a lot of punch in my melee units. And the Mystical Dragon Lord. I think the other Dragon Lord doesn't really work now. Mystical is good. He could do with a couple more attacks, but his nerve is excellent. And his fireball is good. And I've given him Blizzard, and this is a bit of a test, because he needs some long-range threat. Otherwise he just kind of floats around and doesn't threaten. And if you happen to meet someone with Surge, coming within 12 inches gets a bit hairy for a fireball. Blizzard is a great spell. When his first couple of moves, he can take out war engines, or that's the theory. We'll see if it works. So that was my list. So let's have a look at Jordan's list. So his dwarves at 2,000 points. So Jordan has got a horde of Ironclad, which he's given Aegis Theology, so that gives them Iron Resolve. He's gone with the Haneas' Hunting Party formation, which is 2 regiments of Rangers and Haneas the Hunter. So Rangers are pretty good with Vanguard, and what's the other thing they've got? I can't remember. It allows them to walk through... what's it called? Wow, my brain's gone completely blank. It gives them the ability to walk through terrain. I've got his list here somewhere. Please bear with me while I check. No, it's not actually got it on. I'll remember shortly. Anyway, but the formation gives them elite, and I think does it give them stealthy as well? I don't know. Anyway, it's good. Let's have a look at what we're actually talking about while I'm here. So, Hunting Party's good. He's got 2 regiments of Brock Riders, one of which has got Brew of Strength, and the other which has got Potion of the Caterpillar. So he's got lots of stuff that can go through scenery, which he absolutely will not need in any form in the map that we're playing on. But hey, you know, good for him. So he's then got an extra troop of Brock Riders, just in case he didn't have enough Brock Riders. He's got 2 organ guns, a standard bearer with a loot of darkness, like me, a berserker lord on the Brock with the beast slayer, which is kind of standard if you don't take the king with the wings, and to top it all off, a steel behemoth. I chatted to him about his list. I think the thing he would like to have included was some elementals, but apparently the models didn't arrive in time, so he's gone with the behemoth and the extra Brock Riders instead. Pathfinder. That's what I was thinking of. Pathfinder. So they already had Pathfinder. The formation gives them elite and stealthy. It doesn't give Haeneas elite, which is kind of a bit rude, but there you go. And they're vanguarding as well. So that's the dwarf list. So this is how we laid out. So the battlefield. I haven't got PowerPoint, so it's coming, but I can't. So I'm on this very, very old computer, so I can show you my mouse pointer. So you just have to deal with it. So this board is a lot of blocking terrain, but not in very helpful places, I think. So there's a lovely big piece of blocking terrain here. And we'll talk a little bit about, because what I'm facing essentially is a dwarven gun line. If you look across here, we'll look at his deployment shortly. So we've got on the left a big blocking terrain and a wall, some blocking terrain here on his side, a big piece in the middle, a wall down here, another piece of blocking terrain here. This is the only forest here. Some trees have been taken off to account for some troops, and this is a height flat bit of difficult terrain. So that's a cool kind of lava. It's amazing, we've got a lava board and dwarves covered with snow. It doesn't really work. Never mind. So we'll go through some of these deployments first. Just to note that this scenario is push, so we'll talk about that in a minute as well. So this is my deployment from left to right, as if you were facing me. So these are my Drakon riders, which are facing off against the woods. If you imagine that on the board. Guest appearance there from my nerve dice with little skulls on. And then next to them we have got, so that's the green lady, and this is the whole formation. So you've got the 2 palace guards. These are the guys with headstrong. These are the tall spears, and these are the other palace guard. And behind them is the standard bearer with the loot. Now I put them into some terrain, but really I'm just hoping to push these across the table before they get shot off, and then engage. That was my plan. I would say that I wasn't thinking. My actual deployment plan was palace guard in front, horde behind, because the horde is very hitty. And the others are a little bit hitty, but they haven't got sharpness. Well, they're on 3s, but with a 17 nerve and headstrong, they're pretty resilient. Actually, they're pretty resilient. But I forgot that, and I put the tall spears down first, by which point it was too late. So yeah, tough on me. I tend to deploy like this with them, even though my plan is always to put the palace guard first in the front. Yeah, that's just because I'm very forgetful. Then I put the dragon behind the rock because I didn't want him getting shot off in the first turn, which has happened to me. And then the 2 chariots next to each other, just touching this piece of terrain. 2 chariot horses there ready to go. So onto the dwarven deployment. So the dice here are just marking out 12 inches. So this is from left to right again. So he's put all of his brocks in a clump. So these are 2 regiments. There's the troop behind them, and here's the Brock Lord. So this is kind of a smart thing to do in terms of the right-hand block, and you go forward with the regiment, and then you stick the troop in front, so that you have to charge the troop, and then the regiment countercharges, and everything goes splat. Not sure I would have put all of the Brocks together. It's pretty scary, but there's not a lot for them to face off against, but we'll see. So this is then his gun line. So we have the Behemoth, 2 organ guns. There's a standard bearer in the back here. This is his horde of ironclad. And then on the right hand side, action shot, hands in picture. Here's the 2 ranger regiments going into the woods. I think he didn't. Oh, that's Haeneas in the middle. I don't think he vanguarded them in the end, or did he? Well, let's find out. I was a little bit sporadic in taking. He did vanguard them. There they are. They've moved forward a small amount, staying 50% within the woods. Good for them to put them within shooting range. So this is my first turn. I got first turn. So what I did was chuck everything forward. So the Dracons have moved up on the right to be threatening here behind this piece of blocking terrain. These lot just all moved forward 6 inches to try and get within charge range as soon as possible. Dragon moved here to be lovely and threatening. And chuck a bit of blizzard onto a war engine. And I didn't move the chariots. I think I moved the chariots 1 inch to get them to be able to shoot at the Brocks. Yeah, so that's where I am. So that was my first turn. And I moved the standard bearer over to be able to Bane chance. So with that shooting, basically, I think I did about 3 points of damage over here to one of these organ guns. Didn't manage to get it, which is annoying. Blizzard for me, the whole tournament was really disappointing, except when it was used on me, where it like blew huge holes in my ranks. But we'll talk about that later. So yeah, very disappointing there. The dragon didn't manage to do anything. We managed to put a few points of damage onto the regiment of the troop of Brock Riders, but nothing really very exciting. So uneventful first turn. Very eventful first turn though for the dwarves. So something I've noticed as I was going through these screenshots, and it's one of the things, isn't it? You know, you're both playing the game, but Jordan and I both a little bit inexperienced. He's moved all of his Brooks 14 inches, which is fine. The dragon, obviously, I put him out of range. These ones on the left are the Pathfinder ones, but that's an obstacle. You can't at the double with Pathfinder over an obstacle because it's an obstacle. So he couldn't make this move. But I didn't notice at the time, and I let him. So yeah, there you go. You can see 5 points of damage from those the front Brocks from the initial arrow barrage. But you'll notice something is missing. Something is missing here in the middle of my battle line. It's fair to say that Jordan's dice were hot, and I mean hot. So, with 2 organ guns and the 2 regiments of rangers, he took my horde, which is a 21-23 inspired horde, carrying both of my loot tokens off the table. I forgot to say with the loot tokens, I had them on the horde, he also had them on his horde. So this was, in turn 1, he shot off my horde of tall spears, which is like a big core component of my army. That was quite a sobering occurrence, I have to say. Yeah, so very successful turn for the dwarves with their little gun line. Certainly made me respect organ guns even more than I already did. So over here, we charged in. So this is now my turn 2. I charged both chariot hordes into the left-hand Brock regiment. The reason being that I would then only have to deal with a charge from the... he's packed them very closely, can you see? So I then only have to deal with a charge from the troop, assuming 2 chariot regiments hindered can take off a unit of Brocks. 10 wounds, and you can see here a double 1. So I've started the competition with my horde being shot off, followed by a double 1. Wow. However, George charged these in, allowing me to pop a dragon behind them. So I'm going to lose a chariot regiment, probably just one of them, but he's going to get a dragon in the arse next turn, which is not good for him. So let's see how that turns out. So over here, second double 1 of the game. So this must be his turn, right? Yeah, so I've charged in there. Everything else has just moved forward. That's right. So I moved my 2 regiments forward, and I know the Dracons moved up the right-hand side. Look, we'll see that in a minute. But this was his shooting second turn, so he put 12 wounds with his shooting onto these Palace Guard, and then he double 1'd it. So I've moved up next to that loot token with 12 wounds and a double 1. There are 15-17, so it was survivable amount of shooting there, more normal. These guys, however, you can see I was feeling at this point. This is turn 2, 6 points of damage on these ones. So he split his shooting this time, and he got a waver. So these have picked up the loot tokens the tall spears dropped, and I'm wavered. I would notice these have got headstrong, however. So these are my other Palace Guard. So yeah, so what happened here? This is my... Is this me coming back in or him coming back in? I think this is him coming back in, yeah. So he's charged what he can, which is the regiment and the troop, into my right-hand chariots. And just kind of turned the other ones slightly. Personally, I'd have turned them 180 because I'm not being funny, there's a dragon behind them. But hey, there you go. So then, my turn. My turn 3, this would be. So, unsurprisingly, I counter-charged into the already wounded chariots down here, Brocks with my chariots, and killed them. The dragon went into the back of the other Brocks and killed them, so he's left with one troop of Brocks down here, which is much less favourable than it was. Having survived the 1-1 over here, hello, I've got a swirly thing. Having survived the barrage with the 1-1 on these, I've managed to charge into one of his war engines and kill it, which is good for me. Charging past his behemoth. I didn't really want to take a behemoth. And I figured he can turn and shoot me if he wants, but I've regened 3 of those wounds already. I would note that he did charge his Brocklord into my dragon, grounded me, doing 6 points of damage, which is a lot. Blade of the Beast Slayer really proving its worth. So the other thing I did, well, I moved the Green Lady up as far as I could to try and block this horde of Ironclad from charging into the Palace Guard next turn. And I think that works. So I think he's not able to get past the Green Lady. It was a nice roadblock. These guys failed their headstrong rolls, so they're just kind of chilling, but they regened half their wounds. So they're just sitting here. And you see my Dracons have pummeled into one of the units of Rangers and totaled them. Which is good for me. It's reducing his shooting significantly. Okay, is that the same screenshot? Yes. Oh, I know what he did. Okay, so this is his turn 3. So his Brocks have gone back into my chariots, and they've done 8 points of damage, but haven't killed them. His Brocklord has gone into my dragon, done another 6 points of damage and wavered it. So that's 12 points and a wavered dragon. Well, that's not great. Rather than charge anything, which is a bit weird. Maybe this is halfway through his turn. I think this is maybe halfway through his turn. Anyway, he shot the Palace Guard at point blank with the organ gun and took them off. And that's right, he focused the rest of his shooting onto the other Palace Guard, who he did another 5 points of damage and wavered them again. And over here, I think he charged Herneus into the Dracons. So that he could focus on shooting me, because he's focusing on the scenario here. They've got loot tokens to protect. So yeah, so this is then my turn 4. So I've gone back into Herneus. I've done 8 points of damage and not killed him, which is really annoying because that would have been an excellent overrun. I shot the Green Lady over here, and I've healed the dragon who is wavered, so can't move. And my chariots have finished off his troop of Brocks. Rather worryingly, the behemoth is now weighing in on the dragon, ready to weigh in for next turn. So there we are. Another point of damage, another waver. I think I spent 2 turns wavered on those Palace Guard until Adam Padley walked past and went, "Don't forget, Headstrong's 3+." As I just rolled a 3. So I managed to then shoot everything forward in my next turn. So yeah, Palace Guard went into the Rangers. We managed to eat Herneus, but by putting Palace Guard into the Rangers, I stopped the Dracons being able to charge them, being able to overrun. So although Herneus is dead, I then can't overrun onto the Rangers, which is disappointing. So we've now got, but from my point of view, from the scenario, we've got all the loot tokens on his side of the board, so I just need to hold on to mine and I'll be okay. The dragon I shot over and has picked up the loot token here. In fact, I flanked, that's what I did. Did I flank it? I think I did manage to flank into the behemoth. Let's see, he turned it, I think, to pick it up. Can't remember. Anyway, the dragon killed the behemoth in 1 turn, which was obscene. I think I rolled out of the box. I think I rolled a 6/6, maybe on the nerve test. Anyway, so the dragon killed him. I'd rather stupidly put the Green Lady in front of his organ gun, forgetting that individuals offer absolutely no protection. And we just kind of trundled the chariots forward with their 8 wounds to try and get some damage done. Okay. Right, and this was his organ gun roll. So his organ gun is now facing towards my chariots and my dragon. This was the organ gun roll onto my dragon with 6 wounds. That's just, you know, he's hitting on 5s. So of 15 dice, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 of them hit and 10 of them wounded. He killed my dragon, which was very disappointing. So he killed my dragon with the organ gun, and the Brock Lord finished off my chariots. So all I could do really was put this standard bearer on top of the token and hope nobody picks it up. Well, no one can pick it up because he can't get anywhere near. In the meantime, his rangers killed my palace guard, and then the Dracons in the counter charge killed his rangers. So therefore I've still got my 2 tokens, and here's his tokens on the horde. So I put the Green Lady in front of the horde to stop them charging my Dracons, because I've only got 1 turn. This is I think turn 5 or turn 6. This is where we are. And yeah, so at the end, is that the end? I think no, not quite at the end. So this is where we were before the end. So the Dracons are here facing off against the Iron Guard. You can see there, they're sitting on a wall, so it would be a hindered charge no matter what they did because I'm in the woods. But as it is, they're going to have to charge the Green Lady. The gun is facing the wrong way, so he can't shoot me. Yeah. And over here, there's not a lot he can do. His Brock Lord is miles away. He can charge my standard bearer, but he can't pick it up anyway because he's an individual. He can shoot my standard bearer, I guess. But not a lot left on the board. It's a pretty gory game. So he's charged his Ironclad at the end of the game into the Green Lady. He's not killed. There's only a 1 damage, which is, you know, that's a lot of attacks for 1 damage hindered, I guess, into a defense 6. And I think Jordan hadn't quite grasped that push involves getting your tokens to the other side. So I think he thought he was getting a draw with 2 each, but actually it was a 4-2 to me. And in terms of victory points, there was a lot of killing on both sides. So I think we got nearly maximum for kill points. And ended up a 22-7, I think. 22-8, something like that. So, sounds good, but when you win big, it means that you are quite near the top of the leaderboard, which means you face some pretty interesting opponents. So, game 2. Funny story. So I arrived at Coming Storm, which is in the Element Games shop in Stockport. And I was milling around, as you do, chatting to some of the people that I knew from my region. And there was this chap standing there, quite serious looking. I kind of recognised his face a bit from Facebook. So I kind of wandered over and said, "Oh, I recognise you from Facebook." And he went, "Hi, I'm Dan." And I went, "Dan." And then the back of my head went, "That's Dan King, that's the Dark Lord." And we were chatting about his army, and these are my Varangur. And I went, "Oh, wow, amazing, really cool. Oh, I'm really hoping I don't have to fight Dan King. God, that would be terrible." Anyway, game 2 versus Dan King. Which, you know, what an amazing opportunity for a new player like me to play, you know, someone as legendary as the legendary Dan King. And I have to say, one of the most fun players to play that I've ever played against. He's just a laugh the whole way through. Well, every time he killed something, he would scream "pop" at the top of his voice. And I'm quite a nervy chap, and I'm not very fast at counting, frankly. So I'll be there trying to work out what the dice have added up to, and he's screaming "pop" in my face, and I'm jumping out of my skin. I'm like, "Dan, could you not shout "pop"?" And he just kind of went, "No." Fair enough. Anyway, so the Varangur. So this was Dan's Varangur list. Which, if you ever listened to the List Builder Studio, when he talks about what he likes is fast lists that move really fast and all that kind of stuff, here's an incredibly slow list with loads of shooting. Yeah. Try something new. So he's got 3 regiments of thralls, one of which has got the banner of a griffin. He's got 3 hordes of cave trolls, one with a dwarven ale, so headstrong. Cave troll king, who's a beast, well, quite literally a beast, and they form the Troll King's horde. formation, which I can't remember. Where's I've got a piece of paper done? What it gives? Can't remember what it gives. I'll look it up in a minute. So he's got a troop of tundra wolves. He has got 2 troops of horse raiders. Both of them have got bows, so they're quite quick, and they're quite a quick chaff unit. He's got 3 Magus conclaves, all of which he's given elite to. And I was thinking, well, that can't be that bad, can it? Let me tell you. Let me tell you. It may only be 2 attacks, but not a fan. Not a fan of them. And then he's got 2 ice queens. So I put them separately. One of them, they've both got elite as well, so they're nasty. One of them's a heal ice queen, so he's got Shroud of the Saint and heal 3, so up to heal 6 or 7, something like that. And Critter's Call, which is a legendary spell, and the other one's got Blizzard and the Heart-Seeking Charm. So a really evil pairing. Heart-Seeking Charm with Blizzard. Blizzard on its own, I had no success through the weekend. Add Heart-Seeking Charm, Piercing on that is really strong. I love it. It worked really well. So let's just see what Trolls King's Horde. Oh, it gives them all Headstrong. So why has he got Dwarven Ale on one of them? I think he scribbled on his list. Hang on. Dwarven Ale. Oh no. Well, that's weird. So they've all got Headstrong. Oh right, I see. Yes, because the formation is only 2 hordes. So the 3rd horde he's also given Headstrong. So all 3 hordes of trolls are Headstrong. Got it. My list is the same as last turn, and so this is the board. So we have got a piece of blocking terrain here, house on the left, and one here in the middle. We've got and one over here on the left. This is important. So there's a rock here. We've got 2 forests here and here. A hill on the right, and then some walls. So there's a wall here and a wall down here as well, and there's a piece of difficult terrain you can almost see under my chariots here on the right hand side. So I can't remember who won deployment. I think I might have done. Does that seem sensible? Yeah, I think I would have chosen the forest. Maybe. In fact, I definitely did, because I didn't want to be stuck between 2 houses. So this is how we deployed. So this is Dan's list. So you can see from here in the middle there, in the middle block, he's got all 3 of his troll hordes. There's 1, 2 and 3. He's got a regiment of thralls behind them. He's stacked up his Magus conclaves into a little clump here to avoid them being shot at, and this is his Troll King. It's worth noting that all these transparency bits, they've got LEDs in them, so they're kind of like glowing and flickering. It's really cool. And then on his right hand side, he's got his horse tundra dudes with the bows here, and another regiment of thralls. And the reason he's done this, if we skip back, is there's an objective here. So I think the scenario was, can't remember, it's the one with objectives. Basically there's 5 objectives on the board. Pillage? Pillage. It's pillage. So the objectives are, there's one here, there's one here, there's one here, there's one here, and there's one here on the lake underneath his trolls. So there's 5 in total, and the one who controls the most is the winner. So he's put his thralls and his horse raiders over here, so they can just kind of jump out at the end and jump onto this. And the same with these guys on the left, which you're going to see in a minute. So there on the right hand side, he's got his thralls and his horse, and on the left hand side, exactly the same. Conveniently, literally right in front of the token. Okay, do you know what? I think he chose sides, and he chose the side with the most tokens. It's not important. So then, for my deployment, this is my middle, and you can see I've just deployed exactly the same as I did last time. And I did this because I think I didn't quite appreciate how much shooting he had, so I thought I'd just string them out, because it worked last time. Works okay. So this is my formation, Green Lady, with the Green Lady on one side, and the Standard Bearer on the other. And then on the right hand side of the board, I've put my 2 flyers. So I've got my Dracons here and the Dragon here. So either side of that big rock with the turn marker on it. Special guest appearance on my groin, you're welcome. And on the left hand side, I've put both Chariot Hordes. So they're there to just kind of shoot stuff. So pretty simple. It's very easy to deploy my army because there's not a lot of it. On to turn 1, action shot. Look at that tape measure action. Oh, I love it. So I think Dan went first. Did he? No, I think I went first, and I forgot to take a picture of me going. So this is him advancing all of his trolls. So I just moved everything forward a little bit. The only one I didn't was the Dracons, and I'm not even sure quite why I didn't. But there you go. Or maybe he went first. Do you know what? I think he went first. This is him moving. Yeah, which is why I didn't move the Dracons forward, because he pushed everything forward like this, all 3 hordes as far as he could. And he strung out his Mage's Conclaves along the back here to start kind of laying into me. So you see what that looks like. So this is after my move as well. So what he's done is on the left, he's moved up these 2, so he's sat some thralls on the token. His horse raiders move around the side of the house to threaten my flyers, although it's not really that threatening. The Magus Conclaves and one of the ice guys has moved over here, the one without heal, and then his kind of melee block is here. So he's got his Tundra Wolves here, and he's got all of his trolls here. That's the healer, that's some thralls. So you get the thing. So in response to that, I move my dragon over, I think just out of charge range, possibly. Not sure. Did I move first? But a mistake that I made, clearly, I didn't touch the wall with these Dracons, so they've got no cover. So we'll see what happens with that. And these guys have just moved up as a big kind of melee block to challenge his big melee block. 2 regen 5 melee blocks about to squish each other. And then with some shooting from my chariots, I put a couple of wounds on his hounds, didn't do anything. Oh, I think I wavered them. Yeah, I wavered them first turn, these Tundra Wolves. And I also shot the Horse Raiders top right with the other chariots, but I didn't waver them, just did a couple of wounds. And you can see here with his shooting, he's put 2 wounds onto my horse, onto my dragon rather. So I definitely did move forward first, and he moved his Horse Raiders around and shot me for 2 wounds on the dragon, and all of the Conclaves put 4 wounds onto my Dracons here. And that was the exciting round 1. And then, yeah, so that's how it looks. So you can see here you've got the thralls sitting on a token, and these Horse Raiders kind of threatening my dragon. Okay, so then my round 2. So faced with flank from those Horse Raiders or trying to do something clever, I thought I'd try and knock out a unit with a multi-charge. Didn't work. So this is my... so I put the Green Lady here to block this troll unit from countering here. So I went 1 Palace Guard and the dragon in the front. Now, I really don't like putting the dragon into the front of things. I think it's a waste of a dragon. But we had a go. I think we got about 7 wounds onto them, but it wasn't enough to do anything dramatic. Just a small note about how good Dan is at positioning. So you can't quite see it here, but this left troll unit is a millimetre forward ahead of this troll unit. What that means is that I couldn't get my horde into this unit here. There's just no way I can fit because of the Troll King here. I also couldn't multi-charge this middle unit. So basically what he's forcing me to do is multi-charge the left one if I'm gonna, leaving a flank exposed, which is why I put the Green Lady here. I then went, so the horde, knife of choice, went into the Troll King and did 2 or 3 wounds, I think. 30 attacks, hindered, so I was on 4s because of sharpness, but he's defense 6. And I think I failed my crushing strength roll from the loot. And the other tall spears went hindered into the other troll unit and did about 6, 2, 4, 5, something like that. A few wounds, not enough, put it that way. Shooting from the chariots, put some more wounds onto these walls, but didn't hinder them the second time, I think. And what he's done is he's turned the thralls here on his turn. Was that the turn before? I think it was on the turn before, yes. So that's why I went with the dragon, because he turned these thralls this way and the thralls behind the house the other way. So no matter where I plopped the dragon, he was going to get charged by something in a flank. So pretty good, very clever. I like it. So yeah, this was on the right hand side. So I moved these chariots further up into the woods, shot the wolves, didn't do anything, and I just moved these other chariots up onto the hill to kind of claim this token and just pepper these guys. So you can see what I've done is I've wavered these, that's what the brown token is. I've wavered these other horses on the right hand side, which is bad news for him because it means I'm going to just plink away at them until they're all dead and I can have that token. Yay! Okay, so this is his revenge. Ah ha ha ha. So, something I've missed out here. Yes. I think... Well, all I know is that the Magus Conclaves completely wiped out. Where's my Dracons? They're dead. He shot them to shit. Otherwise they would have charged. So that was in the first turn. I think. So I must have taken the last screenshot before some of the rolling of the nerve tests. Yeah, he completely wiped out my Dracons with all of his shooting, which was really beastly. He rolled way above with Blizzard, and with Piercing, it just everything on them, not good. Excuse me. So I'm a Dracon unit down, which is poor, and he was saying I just want to get rid of those Dracons. Fair enough. So, yeah, what does he do on the counter charge? Let's have a look. So his turn 2. I've taken these very poorly because I have no idea what's going on. Aha, right, yes. So, yes. I missed taking a screenshot at the end of his turn. So what he did, yeah, so he countercharged the trolls into my, into my Palace Guard. But he only did 3 points of damage. Well, that's after regen. I think he did 6 points of damage, but he didn't get a waiver. This troll unit went into the Green Lady, managed I think 4 points of damage, and then I've regen some of it here, and so this isn't my turn now. The King went into the Horde, didn't do anything, and the trolls. No, actually that's not true. The King and his trolls went into my Palace Guard, the other unit Palace Guard that was here and now is suspiciously not here because they died. The wolves then turned to the right to start threatening over here, and the Magus and Conclaves and the Horse Archers shot at the Dragon, doing another 6 points of damage. So he's now, oh no, that's 8 points of damage. A lot. He's up to 12 wounds. So then in my go, sorry, this is very disjointed. It was quite a tense match, despite being very enjoyable. So in my go, the frick did I do? Right, yes. So because of the way he positioned things in charging this person into the Green Lady, there was a slight flank here, so I took the flank, but it was a hindered flank. So I took a flank into these trolls, 24 attacks, I didn't kill them. That's really bad because you can see at the end of my turn I've exposed my flank to this troll unit and these guys are going to get wiped out. However, I did manage to charge the tall spears into his troll horde and kill them, which was jolly nice. I think it might have been a multi-charge with these chariots, come to think of it. And I've turned them then to face off against these wolves that are here threatening. These chariots shot the horse archers over here and killed them, which was lovely. And this was my biggest mistake over here. So at this point, later on, Adam Padley came over to me halfway through the game and said, "Later on, I'm going to show you what you did wrong." I'm like, what? What's he talking about? So he positioned these guys so I can only charge one of them, the conclaves. I didn't realise they were individuals. I didn't know. So, which is really frustrating because the way that he's positioned them, I could effectively have chained through 2 conclaves and an Ice Queen with 1 dragon attack. I didn't realise. I just attacked 1 and then I turned to face, so I wouldn't get charged by these thralls, or wouldn't get flanked by these thralls rather. So actually I missed a massive opportunity to basically wipe out this shooting block just because I hadn't read the list properly. I've never played Varangur before and I didn't know they were individuals. So that was a little bit frustrating when I found out later, but you know, it's the game and if you don't know, you don't know, do you really? So on to Dan's next go. So unsurprisingly, he multi-charged these Palace Guard, who were only on 3 wounds at the start, but he flanked them here and he fronted them here. They're not going to last very long. At some point I've shot at these guys because I've got loads of wounds on them. I wonder when that happened. Must have been these chariots. Okay, so we then... So he's, as you can see, he's wiped out... Oh, look, so another more tape measure action. He's just about to charge my chariots with his thralls. Oh, how exciting. So in my turn, I shot at the Tundra Wolves, killing them with these chariots, and then turned to face the King. I put the Standard Bearer in front of the King, so he couldn't charge my chariots, and he only managed to do 2 points of damage from the King onto my Standard Bearer, which was ace. So having finished off the trolls, we turn to face over here. There's no more threat, so we can face down these guys over here. I think this is about turn 3-4 now. So the trolls obviously finished off my Palace Guard, the Green Lady, then shoved herself over the front, so they're having turned to face because they want to bear down these guys. I'm blocking, so I've got an individual blocking the king here, and I've got the Green Lady blocking these trolls here. So this is just some damage limitation for me, because what I don't want to do is get these my main horde multi-charged. And he's brought these horse raiders over to protect. So obviously these guys are peppering me with shots all the time, and I can't heal anymore because the Green Lady keeps getting hit. But what I can do is block and then try and regen on my soul regening unit. The chariots though are very free. So what he's trying to do here is to basically stop these guys shooting at the very least with his thralls by charging them. Since I stupidly left them within charging range. So here we are. Here is the horde. So because of his movement, he's unable to move these ones in, and these guys charge into my Green Lady right up the bum. Lucky her. And a charge here from the king into my standard bearer. You can see there's a lot of damage going on to my horde there from the Famulus and from all the other Famulus, what are they called? Conclaves. You know, they're shooting, but not enough to knock them off, and they keep just regenning. I think the Green Lady did manage to get one heal off at one point. There we go. There's the thralls going into my chariots, who are nicely split over a hill. And there we go. So that horde into the Green Lady, despite all their crushing strength, 7 wounds and a waver. Don't care. There, she's doing her job. 10 wounds here onto my horde, and another 3 wounds onto my standard bearer, who is still not wavered. The king is the worst king ever. However, he can now turn and go into the horde, should he desire. There we go. Oh, look at that close-up action shot. Ooh, I love it. I think I've healed a bit there. No, I haven't. Okay. That's king on standard bearer action. Okay, so next turn, I charge my chariots into the king, having moved the Green Lady, moved the standard bearer out of the way. In fact, I've done something really appalling. I'm not a nice person. So I charge the horde into his thralls that we're seeing here, killing them, and they've regened 4 of their wounds. I then move the standard bearer in front of the other trolls to stop them charging my horde. The Green Lady just sits here because she's the Green Lady. And we carry on in that range. So I'm just stopping him up, and the reason I'm doing that is because I've got the token on the right hand side. He's got the token on the left hand side, so that's 1 all. Okay, so then there's 3 tokens to go. There's one here underneath where the king is. Now at the moment I'm winning that because I've got chariots, which are a horde, and he's just a monster. There's a token here which he can win because this is a horde and this is a troop, regiment, troop, sitting here. So this then comes in. This one up here is kind of is the deciding one because we're 2 each. So this one, he's got a horde here and I've got a horde, so it's contested at the moment. So what I'm trying to do is one of us needs to kill a horde, otherwise we're not going to get the token. So it's suddenly got very tense in the middle of the battlefield. All this, every turn we're regenning all of the damage off each other. So on the right hand side, my chariots finish off the thralls, so I've definitely claimed this objective, and I can just turn around and kind of shoot at stuff. And here we are. It's the final battle. Very exciting now. Chariots charge into the king. Don't think I managed to do anything. So you can see the standard bearer is now up to, you see 5? No, this is the same shot, so it's just what we did. Ooh, that's a nice shot. So this is from the back of, so this is more shots, I think, of turn 5 or 6. And I think, is that the end of the battle? Yeah, so that's where we stood. So he bounced. That's right, he didn't bounce. So he managed to turn this horde to attack my or did he? No, I'll tell you what he did. He didn't attack my standard bearer. He couldn't reach the horde. So what he did is he shuffled the troll horde sideways so as to contest this objective. So that makes it even. And a mistake, that he said he made, he didn't move this troop of horse raiders up fast enough, because actually all he needed to do was go out the double to here, and he would have overwhelmed this objective. He would have had 4 to my 3 in terms of unit strength, and he would have won that one. So he didn't go into the standard bearer. Standard bearer survived. The Green Lady up to 9 damage still survived, but actually he didn't really need to do anything. He's already got that objective. That's 1 for him. Over here, Troll King did 5 points of damage into my horde. We did, I think, 4 or 5 damage into his king. It doesn't matter. The objective there is mine because I'm a horde versus a monster or a hero. He's scoring. Yeah, he is scoring. So it's 3-1. I've got the one on the right, he's got the one on the left. So it works out as an even draw, which is very exciting. And we counted up the attrition points, and they were, I think, within 40 points of each other. So it worked out as a 14-14 draw. 10 points for winning, 2 points for having 2 objectives each, and 2 points for kill points. So I managed a draw, which is, yeah, incomprehensible to me, really. There was a couple of mistakes on both of our sides, but, you know, it was a really tense, really close match. Really fun. And a 14-14 draw. That was the end of my game 2. Placing me, I think, in about 6th at this point. 5th or 6th, maybe slightly lower. I'm not sure. So then, next game, I found myself facing off against Nick Williams. So having played the Dark Lord Dan King, I then go to play Nick Williams. In my first tournament, you can imagine at this point I was a little bit fraught. So after lunch, Nick Williams. So that will be coming in the next battle report. My 3rd and 4th games of the tournament. I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks for watching.